There is a painting by Hieronymous Bosch depicting carnival swindlers. What is happening is that the conjurer, the illusionist, the magic man, is distracting his audience with sleight of hand, while his accomplice, dressed as a cleric, standing in the crowd, steals a man's purse. We're all familiar with the trick. There are cups. The magician puts the pebble or ball under one of them, switches them around, and magically the pebble is gone or moved. The audience can't work out how it's done. In stage magic, it's called the old cup and ball routine. The same idea is found in early versions of the tarot arcana called the magician. Here there is no accomplice to pickpocket astounded onlookers, but the same principle, distraction, is illustrated. This is what happens when the carnival magician says, "Watch my hand." And of course, while we are watching his hand, we are not watching his other hand. The symbolism is lost in subsequent tarot designs, but this is very close to the central meaning of this tarot trump in its traditional rendering, the switch. Because the principle of distraction is not a minor matter, but is a principle indeed, and one with wider and esoteric implications. This is a whole category of tricks. The symbology of the card is about a certain dynamic polarism. Notice the lemnemisket, the infinity symbol as we call it, in the magician's unlikely headwear. It is about how one thing is concealed when another is revealed. When the right hand comes into view, the left hand recedes, and in this manner the illusion is accomplished and we are deceived. The lemnemisket has developed in later tarot designs, but not unreasonably. It is there in the early decks from the beginning. It is like the yin-yang symbol we know these days from Oriental traditions. It shows the idea of duality, but not static duality, dynamic. It doesn't mean infinity in this context as it does in modern mathematics. We are considering its traditional medieval meaning. And here it means duality, reciprocation, interchangeability and such things. Right hand, left hand. When the right hand goes up, the left hand goes down. When the sunshine sits, the moonlight stands. Strictly speaking, this is what we call chironic. The lemnemisket is a dynamic version of the chi. Card is telling us that this is an aspect of reality. It's an unavoidable structural characteristic of consciousness itself. When we look at one thing, we are not looking at others. When we focus on one thing, others recede from focus. Revelation comes with concealment. And this is happening all the time. When we wake in the morning and come to consciousness, our mind is brought to a certain organized focus. The dreaming mind is still there, but it recedes into the background. When we notice one thing, it means we are not noticing others. The illusionist's whole act is built on this fact. He gets us watching a decoy. He distracts us with a decoy. There is a symmetry to it. It means what you are looking for is hidden by what you can see. Not only are you looking in the wrong place, you are looking in exactly the wrong place. You are watching the right hand, you need to be watching the left hand. The symmetry, in fact, is chironic and dualistic. Stage magic plays with this all the time. Another classic instance of it is any trick done with coins. The trick will depend upon the fact that on any coin, heads and tails hide each other. If you're looking at heads, you're not looking at tails, and vice versa. The illusion is done in the space that is hidden. There are stories of great stage magicians who could hide an elephant from a live audience just by getting them to look in the wrong place. It is good to remember this as a hermeneutic principle. The magician, the trickster, is Mercury, Hermes, and this is one of his key tricks. Whenever we apply ourselves hermeneutically, which is to say in the act of interpretation to a text, whatever it might be, we are prone to give our attention to exactly the wrong thing. That which is obvious is hiding that which is not. It is in the very nature of texts, and it's in our nature to do it. The swindler is the text itself, and we cannot help but be fascinated by its illusions. Inasmuch as we are being pickpocketed, so long as we are blinded by illusions, the scene depicted by Bosch is not so much social commentary as an allegory of the human condition. Text, in this sense, may be a written text, or a painting, or an assembly of symbols, or a building, or a historical narrative. In every case, there is the hermeneutics of distraction, namely that certain things will present themselves, and it is our inclination to be mesmerized by them, but they're blinding us from something else. And that which is concealed, it turns out, is that which we need. Moreover, to put it more generally, it is in the nature of texts to mislead, and it is our nature to be misled. We are dealing with the trickster. Our mind and text conspire against us. At very least, the hermeneut should be humble. Every time he makes a discovery, he should ask himself, what am I missing here? We can be certain we are missing something, because when something is revealed, something is concealed. This is extended all the way to a theological principle in some perspectives. The revealing of the objects of the world, the things around us, the things of nature, is at the same time a self-concealment, a veiling, a withdrawal of the divine. When God created the world, he hid himself. The revealing of nature was a veiling of God. In any case, the principle is operative at all levels, and we could give many examples, many applications. What we are told hides what we need to know. Consider, for instance, the ancient injunction, "Thou shalt not marry thy sister," the prohibition on incest. What it is really saying is, thou shalt marry outside your kin. It is pro-social. It is not a restriction, it's an admonition, and yet it's not presented like that. Our mistake is to think that it has something to do with avoiding the biological consequences of inbreeding. The ancients must have known, we think, that incest leads to deformities. But this is only true if it is compounded over generations. Historically, it is unlikely that this is the basis for the prohibition. Rather, its purpose is to create a particular type of social order. This is not a byproduct of the prohibition. It is the intention of the prohibition. It very deliberately undermines tribalism. A similar example, thou shalt not drink blood. In some religious orders, Islamic or Jewish law for instance, blood is forbidden. Again, we imagine this has to do with health or hygiene, but actually the prohibition says, thou wilt develop a salt economy. To inland and desert-dwelling people it says, thou wilt trade with coastal people. In many environments, blood is the only source of salt. The prohibition on blood is in fact an injunction demanding a particular type of social and economic organization. This is not a byproduct of the injunction, it is the purpose of the injunction, even though it doesn't say so. We watch the right hand, but it's really the left hand, what is being unsaid, that is important. This has general application. We must ask in each case, what is being unsaid? A sensitivity to what is being unsaid, subtexts, is the whole key to this mode of hermeneutics. Nor is it just a case of utilitarian motives being disguised as religious superstitions. We shouldn't use this as a tool for pernicious reductionisms. The Marxist thinks that all the mist and mirrors of religion is just to distract us from the reality of class exploitation. This would be the Marxist reading of Bosch's painting. Capitalism entrances us while it robs us from behind. Hermes is certainly a thief, but the tarot card presents this idea more as an internal principle of reality, a metaphysical fact. The carnival trickster isn't always out to thieve. He's first and foremost just an entertainer, and the purpose of his trick is just to delight and intrigue. And yet, this itself is a distraction, a decoy. It is one of the most basic tricks to disguise something profound as something trivial, because the carnival trickster, the sleight of hand man, the stage magician, the illusionist, is one of the most platonic and philosophical of performers. His job is to remind us constantly not to believe our eyes. Plato was interested in illusions. You take a straight stick. You know it's straight, but when you put one end of it in a body of water, it seems to be bent. We pull it out, it's straight again. Magic. The question to ask when watching a magician is not how is it done, but why can't I see it? Why can't I trust my own eyes? Even the lowest of carnival tricksters leaves his audience engaged with profoundly philosophical questions. The vehicle, as so often with philosophical things, is play. The lesson is always, it's the mind that does the real seeing. The eyes can't be trusted. That's an extremely Platonic lesson. This lesson, in fact, permeates traditional symbolism wherever we find it. There is this hermetic quality to text and symbols. The deceptions aren't always a ruse for thievery, although Hermes will pick your pocket, but often they just intrigue and delight, and in this sense they are inviting us to deeper and deeper meditations. We like being deceived anyway, when it's play. We like it when storytellers deceive us, when they reveal a twist at the end of the story and we realise that we've been deceived all along. We are delighted that someone has exposed our gullibility. In the case of the illusionist, he just leaves us wondering. The stage magician leaves his audience in a state of wonder, and that's where philosophy begins. When we wonder, what is the trick? We are also asking, what is the secret? Magicians guard their secrets. What the left hand is doing is secret, hidden, mysterious, sometimes forbidden. The magician gives you the cup to inspect to make sure it is normal and intact, but actually it's the pebble you need to inspect. He doesn't show you the pebble. When he shows you the empty palms of his hands, it's because he doesn't want you to see the backs of his hands. The tarot cards themselves embody this principle. The idea is that the great secrets and mysteries of the universe are dressed up as a parlour game. Great truths have been disguised as a card game. We might play tarocchi, even for gambling, unaware that the profound has been hidden under the trivial. The carnival trickster, or the stage illusionist, does simple tricks. It's a lowly craft. We throw him pennies for the amusement. But the trickster is no less a philosopher than Socrates annoying people in the marketplace. Illusionism is an inherently Platonic entertainment. As we walk around the carnival sideshows, this is the philosopher among them. This might even be true if he's a swindler. The same idea is at the centre of alchemy. Here we have the idea that the most brutish, simple-minded dullard, the muscle man, the blacksmith, knows the inner secrets of the cosmos. The blacksmith is the guardian of the secrets of fire, the inner secrets of matter and metals. The blacksmith is the prototypal alchemist, which is a spirituality developed in metallurgical symbolism. But if we want to know the secrets of the cosmos, who would think of asking the blacksmith, the lowest of manual workers? We walk straight past the smithy on our way to see some supposed wise man, distracted by some supposed wise man. What we are seeking is not where we're led. Plato gives us a parable in the Republic. There is a ship in a storm. The rudder is broken. It's lost at sea. On board is a layabout, a loafer, who spends the voyage laying back and looking at the stars, a good for nothing. But he, of course, knows where they are, from the stars, but no one on board would ever think of consulting him. He's the last person to ask. What you seek is exactly where you're not looking, and where you wouldn't even think of looking, and where you won't let yourself look. The one person who knows what's going on in Bosch's painting is the child, the one person you wouldn't ask or listen to. It is thoroughly systemic, this principle. Other than the fool, the magician is the first card in the tarot. Take the case of alchemy. There is a secret to alchemy. The distraction is precisely that alchemy is a spirituality of metallurgy. Well, it is, but this is also hiding something. What it is hiding is that alchemy is really about stone, not metal. The blacksmith is really a specialized mason. The real archaic roots of alchemy are Neolithic, before metals. It is a fundamental mistake to think that alchemy is about metals. It presents itself that way, but it is really about stone. And this is hidden in plain sight anyway. The magnus opus, the summum bonum of all this metalwork, is called the philosopher's stone. In the end, all that metalwork is a smokescreen, the vapour of puffers. This opens up a very different reading of alchemical texts and symbolism. It is a method of scriptural exegesis too, where we are never content with surface meanings and know that they are distracting us from something, where we assume that the revelation is also a concealment, where it demands a deeply chironic engagement. It is physically embodied in the way the rabbinic tradition engages with the Torah, with rabbis seated at either side of the desk with the text in the middle, and they consider every word back and forth, back and forth. It is especially at play is the right word, in the scriptural penetrations of the Kabbalists and the esotericists. The word of God is tricky. It doesn't just mean what it seems to mean, and what it seems to mean might obscure what it really means. It is not entirely coincidental that the traditional device in which the Muslim sets his Quran, the reading stand, is shaped as a kai. The idea that the surface text hides an inner text is fundamental, especially to Sufi and Shia readings. Bosch himself certainly indulged in an esoteric reading of scripture, and the same idea is the very essence of everything occult, so-called. The occult is what is hidden by definition. The heads of the coin occludes the tails of the coin. The card game hides occult knowledge. Whatever the origins of the tarot, it emerges into history in Italy in the early 1400s, but this no doubt is hiding something too. It moves into that category of ideas we call the occult. In the Western tradition, it is sometimes called magic. Not enough attention is given to the relation between the high magician, the wizard, and the stage magician, the trickster. Most properly, we should call all of this hermetic and place it among the things of Hermes. The trickster god is also the god of magic and the god of interpretation, hermeneutics, and the god of writing too. Writing is a trick, a sleight of hand, an illusion. Squiggles on a surface contain the thoughts of distant men. What magic is this? But that's the distraction. Plato calls us out on it. We are so mesmerized by this trick, this new technology of writing, that we overlook the price tag. In Plato's story, Thoth, Hermes' new invention, writing, means we forfeit our powers of memory. That's what's on the other side of that coin. That's the picked pocket. With every revelation, what is concealed? With every discovery, what are we missing? With every new invention, what have we lost?